what is the one thing that you've just got to do, the non-negotiable thing you've got to do to set yourself up for success as an income replacing, passionate entrepreneur? Because we have so many voices about the right strategy, about the algorithms, about how to show up, about what to offer, what to price, what's the next hot industry, what's dying, who is the expert, who to follow, who's blowing up. And what I know at the end of the day is that if you try to follow all of that advice, your head's going to explode. Or at the very least, you're going to wind up so overwhelmed that you don't take any action. And that's not what we're about, right? So if we haven't met, if you and I haven't met, if you're new around here, my name's Christine McAllister, and I'm so excited to share with you this one thing that I'm seeing so much. Look at, you get a little glimpse of the collage while I'm working on back there, trying to piece everything together perfectly. Perfectly imperfect, right? This is such a passion of mine because I have been talking to so many of you in this group recently who are struggling with this one thing. And so I knew I had to come talk about it. The one thing you've got to do to succeed as an entrepreneur. Again, like I said, if you're new around here, this is me. This is my book, The Income Replacement Formula, 7 Simple Steps to Doing What You Love and Making 6 Figures from Anywhere. Available on Amazon. And I'm so glad that you're here because here's what I know. If you're not doing this, you're not being successful. Are you ready for it? Okay. The one thing that you've got to do to succeed as an income replacing, passionate entrepreneur is you have to exercise self-trust. Now, I'm going to talk about all the different ways that this shows up strategically, but at its core, it is a mindset issue. I know some of you are not familiar with mindset. I know some of you know mindset is important, but don't know the first thing about it. And I know some of you are really into mindset. So no matter where you fall on that path, I want you to know that this is a piece to look at for you. If you're on that path to replacing your income or doubling your income or whatever it is that you want, you must exercise self-trust. Now, what that doesn't mean is that you're not going to be scared. What that means is that you are honest about what you want and you do it even if you're scared. There have been so many times in my business when I have been terrified. And I'll give you a few examples. When I invested in myself for the first time, I was a proud 30 years plus person who was really prided myself on figuring out how to do everything on my own and for free. And that had gotten me as far as it had gotten me, but it didn't get me what I ultimately wanted, which was freedom of income, freedom to travel, freedom of time, and the knowledge that I was making a real impact in the world. So when I found somebody that I wanted to learn from, I decided I wanted to invest, and it was terrifying. I wanted to invest in her program. It was terrifying. I didn't have the money. I didn't know where it was going to come from. My husband thought I was crazy and didn't approve. And I did it anyway because I knew it's what I wanted. I knew it's what I wanted. And I was terrified. In fact, like I was working with somebody in another country. And so the first 2 times I tried to put my card through, sorry, my nose is running a little bit. So cold here. The first couple of times I put my card through, it actually declined because of suspicious activity, right? Trying to make a purchase in another country. And so I was like, oh my gosh, it's a sign. Well, it wasn't a sign. It was just more of a test of my faith. How badly did I want this, right? And then I was terrified when I first made the announcement of what I was doing. Seriously, I thought I was going to throw up when I first got visible with my business and announced what I was doing. Also, when I quit my job, right? Talk about putting it all on the line when you quit your job. There's nothing like that. And some of you know what that's like, right? If you know what that's like, tell me, because I have totally been there. And I have, 75% of my clients have quit, and some of them are in the process of quitting right now. And so, I've walked this journey with people who want to work from home, maybe don't currently have a job, have been through a layoff, people who are single moms, people who are making six figures, and all want that freedom to live life on their own terms, right? And they've done it scared. They've done it scared. They haven't done it without a plan, but they've done it scared. They have exercised self-trust. They have exercised the belief that they can do this, that they will figure it out as they go, that they have lined up the support to help them figure out what they need to figure out, and that all will be well. I was also scared when I had my first sales call, when I made my first sale, and I was like, oh my gosh, now I have to help this person, right? What if I don't help them do what they signed up to do with me? I know that comes up a lot, not only for me, but for other people. So ask yourself, what do I want? What do I really, really want? I know that some of you have shared that you don't know, but I know that there are some things you want. You might not know what that looks like specifically in your business, but you might know you want time freedom. You might know you want to spend more time with your kids. You might know you want to spend more time outside. You might know you want to get out of the cubicle. You might not know how to bring your business idea about yet. And if you're just getting started, you don't need to. But are you lining up things that show that you trust yourself? This is what I want, and I'm doing it anyway, right? This idea for this live stream actually came to me. I was taking a really nice, long, hot shower today, and I wrote it all out on my favorite survival guide notes, Aqua Notes. So I've got my Aqua Notes here for you, where I came up with all of these ideas, because I want to give you some specifics on how to know if you are exercising self-trust or not. How to know if you're exercising self-trust or not. And I'd love, if you're watching this, for you to let me know which one of these things you've done, which one of these things you're currently doing. Let's call ourselves out here, because I think I probably have done every single one of these things at least multiple times. And so when we can own it and we can laugh about it, then it takes the shame away, right? And we know we're not alone. How do you know if you're exercising self-trust? Well, how many different strategies or opt-ins or ads are you clicking on? Are you pursuing? Are you reading about right now? Are you considering like 5 million different business ideas, or are you focused on one? Are you reading a bunch? Are you reading a bunch of Google articles? Are you reading a bunch of advice about business and not implementing any of it? You might not be exercising self-trust. If you are clear on what you are pursuing and the right strategy, then you're executing, you're following through on it, then you're exercising self-trust. If you're feeling like you have nothing to say and like nobody wants to hear from you, you're not exercising self-trust. You're not exercising the belief that somebody needs to hear what you're saying in a way that only you can say it, right? If you are showing up to put your content out into the world and trusting that it's going to get in front of the right people because you've done what you can to make that so, that's exercising self-trust. Here's the thing. You only need enough self-trust to take the next right step in front of you. So many of us get completely hung up on the hows of, well, what about when this happens? And what about when this happens? And well, I can't do that because what if this happens in the process? To the point where we get into analysis paralysis, right? That is what endless pondering leads to, is analysis paralysis. It does not strengthen your self-trust muscle. Endless pondering leads to analysis paralysis. Now raise your hand if you've ever been overwhelmed by analysis paralysis. Because I have. And it wouldn't be a Life with Passion live stream unless there was a little bit of singing. Now, analysis paralysis happens to all of us. It is the nature of our world where information is flying at us far faster than our brains could even comprehend it. But when we stay there, as opposed to choosing focus, as opposed to choosing to get clarity, we stay stuck. There's a phrase that I love that is only 3 words. It's so simple. And I would love for you to keep it in mind. Action relieves anxiety. Action relieves anxiety. If you are feeling anxious about something, if you're feeling uncertain about something, there's another quote that says, in any moment, the best thing that you can do is the right thing. The next best thing that you can do is the wrong thing. The worst thing you can do is nothing. And that pairs really well with this idea that action relieves anxiety, because action brings you clarity. Action is what brings you toward replacing your income. Action is what brings you toward having a successful business, whatever success looks like to you. So what are some other ways that you can know if you're exercising self-trust or not? Are you waiting until your business makes money in order to invest in yourself and in the business? This is a huge one. Like, I cannot emphasize this one enough. Are you waiting until your business makes money to invest in yourself or in your business? It's something I hear a lot. Oh man, yeah, if only my business could make some money, then I could invest in learning how to grow my business. That's not exercising self-trust, my friends. That is putting pressure on a business that is a baby to operate without having been trained to operate successfully. That is putting pressure on you as a budding entrepreneur to know how to be a successful entrepreneur before you've ever learned how. And it's saying, I don't trust myself enough to make this money back. Just calling it out like I see it, right? With any investment that you look at making, the question should be, is this going to help? Do I believe this is going to help me get the results that I want? Do I trust myself, self-trust, enough to show up for it fully? And trust the process, work the process, trust myself, work the process. You all know and have heard me share that some magical things happen when you trust yourself and trust the process. So when I signed up for that first group coaching program, I didn't know where the money was going to come from to pay it back. I didn't have any guarantees, but I knew it was what I wanted, and I trusted myself enough to push purchase, even though it was scary. I did it anyway. Showing up for that investment and that belief in myself is why I tripled my income in the first few weeks of that group coaching program. It wouldn't have happened if I hadn't said, I believe in myself. I believe in my ability to make this investment back. I'm doing it, right? The belief comes first, as opposed to the way we're trained a lot of the time was, I will believe it when I see it, right? That's the way that we're trained so much of the time. Oh yeah, well, can't read everything, can't believe everything that you see. I'll believe it when I see it, right? And so many other examples, I'm just giving myself as an example here. I believed it until I saw it. I believed it until I saw it. I saw it in my head and I acted on it, and then I saw it in real life, right? And that's self-trust. Now, I'm not perfect at this, but I am really passionate about it. And I want to know if you are too. Where are you on the self-trust scale? Where are you on the self-trust scale? Are you feeling like, I don't trust myself at all, I don't believe that I can create what I want? Or do you feel like you do know you have some ability to create what you want? Some other ways you can tell if you have self-trust. I don't know about you guys, but I love assessments. So I'm asking a bunch of questions to help you kind of assess how much self-trust you have right now. Have you started your business? Or are you thinking about it all the time? Right? Are you thinking about it all the time? You're thinking, overthinking, and never starting and taking action. If you've started your business and you're still working your business, you're showing a belief and a trust in yourself even before it gets to the point where you want it to be. Okay? Have you had a hard time pricing what you're offering? Or have you confidently chosen a price and put it out there? That could tell you how much you trust yourself as well. Are you procrastinating endlessly? A lot of time that comes from fear and a lack of self-trust. Are you feeling just totally stuck? Have you been talking about doing something for years and you say you really want it, but you haven't been able to move forward? Maybe you don't trust yourself to be able to deal with the visibility, to be able to deal with if something happens where someone says something negative. Maybe you fear failure more than you trust yourself to make your business a success no matter what it takes. If you feel like you're just spinning and not making any progress, maybe it's because you're trying so many different things instead of trusting yourself and sticking with one. Here's another question for you. How long does it take you to make a decision? That's a really big indicator of how much you trust yourself. If you consider something and you're able to say, this is what feels right to me, or this is what my senses are telling me is right, and I'm going to go ahead and commit to that decision. We know that to decide means to cut off, so it can feel really, really scary. But at the same time, it opens you up by committing. It opens you up to all of the things within that decision, as opposed to keeping you stuck staring in front of all these possibilities right here, right? So how long does it take you to make a decision? The most successful people make up their minds quickly and change their minds slowly. And why is that? Because they trust themselves. Do you deal with a lot of FOMO? Do you deal with a lot of, oh, well, she became successful doing that. He became successful doing this, so I need to do that too in order to be successful? Or do you believe that you can create the kind of success that you want on your own terms? Really good indicator of how much self-trust you have. Are you looking around at what other people are doing and saying, I'm just going to reverse engineer what made their success? So your favorite Insta-fluencer, or your favorite person on Facebook, or your favorite author, or your favorite podcast host, or your favorite person in your industry. Are you just looking and saying, well, if I will only do what they do or what they've done, I can be successful? That demonstrates a lack of self-knowledge and a lack of self-trust, because everybody's personality is different, and what platform, what strategy worked for them is not necessarily a guaranteed success for anyone else, because you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes or what clarity or actions they've taken in order to get where they are. Even if they share a lot of that transparently, you can't know intimately what that was. So, are you trying to copy someone else from the outside rather than learning your own unique way and developing your own unique way? Now, I'm not saying that to get help, but I am saying it's really important to approach it as an individual, as a beautiful, unique person that you are, rather than trying to cookie cutter yourself into something, because ultimately that will fail. And I've totally done it. And guess what? It didn't work for me. I worked with a coach who said, hey, this is the way that I've done it. One strategy only. And so I did what she said, and guess what? It wasn't the right strategy for me. So I wound up spending way too much money and winding up with no profit because it wasn't the right strategy for me. but it was the only one she knew how to teach because it's the only one she'd done, and it's the only one that worked for her. So if you're getting support, are you learning from somebody who's done a lot of different things and can help you sort out what's right for you, your personality, and the way you want your business to look? All right, another way to know if you have self-trust, and again, I want to invite you to share, like, which ones of these things have you done? Like, don't leave me hanging out here in the breeze, like basically getting naked and saying, I made all these mistakes. I want to know, does this resonate with any of you all? Does this make sense? Have you ever been there? Have you had a lack of self-trust, or are you just like, nope, I'm totally like, nothing gets in my way, not a sensitive person, no one ever has said anything critical to me, I've never doubted myself? And if that's true, good for you. But if it's the opposite, then you're in really good company. So let me know. Do you find yourself talking yourself out of things? Like when you sit down to write, do you find yourself talking yourself out of saying something because you feel like you have nothing original to say? Or because you feel like someone's already farther along than you and they're doing it better and they're more professional and their stuff is prettier, and so why even bother? Or you read an article and say, well, that's what I was thinking, so now my ideas have already been put out there and there's no room for me, right? Here's the thing. When you truly decide to trust yourself and go after what you want, you become unstoppable. Because you're going to make decisions and you're going to take risks that other people might not understand, but it's not their journey. My husband thought I was crazy and disagreed with my decision to join that first group coaching program. Guess what? I did it anyway. Not to spite him, but because I knew it was the next right step for me, right? So where are you trusting yourself and making decisions that are in alignment with that trust? Where are you exercising self-trust, my friends? And if this video is a big aha for you and you're like, not at all, that's so okay. That's so okay, because we've all been there, and all you need to do is take the next step in front of you in order to start demonstrating and building up that self-trust muscle, right? If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, if you want to replace your income, if you want to double your income, whatever it is, triple your income, no more hiding. No more hiding. No more deferring to other people. No more saying, I will let myself consider myself a success when my business proves it to me. You got to believe it first in order for it to bring it about in your business. Okay? Speaking of, are you celebrating those little successes along the way that you might be telling yourself are too small right now? Or are you waiting for some far off milestone that you say, oh, when this happens, then I'll consider myself and my business a success? Which of those things are you doing? So meaning, like, sometimes, especially for us high achievers, it's really, really hard for us to celebrate successes. Like, oh, I put a Facebook post out there. Oh, I connected with a person. Or, oh, I sent an email that was really hard to send, or whatever. But if we say, well, I'm not going to allow myself to celebrate until I have my first 1K month or 5K month or 10K month, or I hit my first 6 figures, or pick a thing. It doesn't matter how big or small it seems to you. When I say that stuff, we all have different goals. And when we put off celebrating until we hit those goals, all we do is pile on pressure. And I'm not in the business of creating businesses that feel like pressure. That's one of the reasons most of us want to get out of 9-to-5s, right? To feel free. So I was just talking with an awesome client today who has quit her job, her 6-figure job. And we were talking about the strategies that she's going to use to continue to build her business. And I said, you know, you've got to ask yourself, there are endless endless options that we can work on together to grow the business, but which one of those is fun? And she said, it's such a weird frame for me to be thinking about which one is fun instead of which one I should do and which one, is the most strategic and which one is the most efficient and whatever. She's like, it's just so foreign to me because I've spent my life in corporate not being allowed to ask that question. Thinking about the concept of a business being fun is a whole new one to a lot of us, right? And so when we take that employee mindset into our new business, we wind up just replacing the feeling we had in our 9-to-5, which is so not the point. So when you listen to yourself and trust yourself enough to go, man, I really like writing. I believe I can build a 6-figure business by writing to connect with people. Or you know what? I really like being spontaneous. I don't want to do a weekly Facebook Live at the exact same time every week. Or I don't want to get boxed into having my business look exactly like this cookie cutter, schedule or whatever. Then you start to narrow down and choose the options that are right for you that you can act on. And guess what? If they feel fun, you're a lot more likely to act on them. If it's something that you look forward to, you're a lot more likely to do it, as opposed to if you dread it, but you feel like you have to do it because someone said it's a part of building a business. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some things that we all have to do every year, like file our taxes and things like that. But what if you could make that more fun? What if you could find a way to make that more fun instead of it just default being a thing that you dread? Because you can trust yourself in any moment to find a way to make the task that you're doing more fun because it's on your terms. So the one thing that you've got to do to succeed as an entrepreneur, the one thing that you've got to do is you've got to start exercising self-trust. Now, if this seems like a really foreign concept to you, I understand, I feel you, I have been there. And I also want you to know that the only thing you need to do right now to start exercising self-trust is whatever the next right step for you feels like. And it's probably the one that also feels really scary, that you've been trying to talk yourself out of because of practicality. So maybe it's something that requires an investment of money. And you've been like, oh, well, I don't have it. Or I'll, like I was talking about earlier, I will invest back into the business when the business makes some money. Even though you know that in order to make money, I'm giving an example. You've got to learn how to do sales in a way that feels good to you so you won't avoid it. That's one that a lot of us have. You've got to learn how to do sales in a way that feels good to you. And you don't know what that is because you've only ever seen sales done in a weird, gross, pushy, salesy way. So knowing that, let's say you invest in someone or something to teach you how to do sales in a way that feels good, how many clients or customers would you need to get using that new sales method in order to repay your investment, in order to get an ROI, and then of course to go on from there, making an ROI many times over, right? These are the kinds of questions to ask yourself. You only need enough self-trust to take the next right step for you, however big or small that is. Do you know what that next right step is? And if so, do you want to be really brave and awesome and set an example to us and share what that next step is? Whether it's a Facebook post, an Instagram post, doing your first Facebook Live, reaching out to a potential customer or client, following up with a potential customer or client, which is something that a lot of us feel really weird about. But I have this thing on my bulletin board that says, be consistent. Over 50% of people give up after the first contact. 89% give up after 4 contacts. By the 9th contact, you have a 90% chance of landing the client. And when I say contact, I don't mean, hey, are you ready now? Are you ready now? Are you ready now? Do you want to work with me now? Do you want to work with me now? Do you want to work with me now? 9 times. That's not what I mean at all. I mean building a real relationship with someone so that you help them see the possibility of working together and they make an empowered choice about whether it's the right fit for them. Are you exercising self-trust? I want you to think about it. I want you to look for ways to do it. I want you to let me know whether you are and how you are going to in the comments below. Where does this show up most for you? All right. Now,